Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. So money guides are back, and this time we're going to look into the very thirsty and very expensive Bugatti Chiron. Now this is actually my second build of this car. The original one that I had was just far too thirsty, to the point where if you didn't pit every lap you would have no chance at all of making a second go around. However, I've eventually gone back and kind of edited it up a bit, and I've managed to make it pretty much a 2-lap rocket ship. Obviously you cannot stretch to 3 laps, so if you want to buy this car you can buy it for yourself from the Bugatti dealer. It's 3 million, so it is a little expensive. However, you are getting one of the, in my opinion, fastest, most crazy cars in the game. If you don't even run it as a 700 pp build, you can essentially max upgrade it and make it an absolute joke of a rocket ship. It really is very impressive in my opinion. So with that done and said, let's actually get into, well, how this build works. So here you go, this is my tuning sheet. As you can see, we do have some aero parts on it. It's completely up to you what aero you want to run, but I do recommend firstly starting with the racing hard tyres and also having the intermediates and the heavy wets on. In terms of suspension parts, we've got fully customizable, and the body height is going to be 110 at the front, and then over at the rear it's going to be 115. Anti-roll bar, I've gone for 4 for both. I feel like this is a decent kind of, point. Compression is going to be 35 for both. Expansion 45 for both. Natural frequencies up next. It's 1.70 at the front and 1.90 at the rear. Again, I feel like it suits the car. A negative camber angle is going to be 3 for both. I believe that's bog standard and not changed. Toe angle is going to be 0 at the front and 0.20 at the rear. Now I do not actually have any kind of differential changes on this. I've just left it at normal, so no editing to do there. In terms of the transmission, we've got the fully customizable racing transmission for the quicker gear changes. I've not done individual gears, I've just set it to 360. I feel like this is a decent sweet spot with this car. However, we are going to have to ballast this car a lot. 176 minus 50 positioning, and the power restrictor, well, we're going to have to essentially nerf the power on this thing, but don't worry too much. 70 for both of them on the fully customizable ECU as well. Downforce at the front is at the minimum at 50, and at the rear it's at the max at 200. I do have that big rear wing on here. As you can see, it's not turbocharged. However, we do have this. We have better brakes, because the original brakes on this thing, yeah, not very good. So racing brake system and racing brake pads, completely up to you if you get the slotted or the other discs. Now, as you can see up here, we've not changed this bit. However, I've took a ton of weight off this thing to just, get rid of that barge feeling for it. So we have all weight reduction and the increase in body rigidity. I feel like this makes it an absolute missile in a straight line, and it also takes the sort of extra weight off, which makes it an absolute boat as its standard build. So the very first thing you want to do is put this in fuel mix 6. It's because it will drink fuel like no tomorrow. It is not afraid to just drink it all up, even without the turbo on. Like I said, I did have another build originally, but it was just far too thirsty. I think I was just getting just over a single lap before that was it. We was out of fuel and I was stranded, pretty much doing a whole lap of Le Mans, whatever it was. I think like 80 mile an hour it limits you to, so it's not worth strapping that turbo into it. It really does sort of, drink everything up. So I've gone for a non-turbo build. I feel like the Bugatti with that added downforce at the rear becomes a very usable car, and especially with the weight reduction, it just makes it a lot better through the corners. By no means is this a light car. Obviously we have added a bit of ballast, but overall it just feels much lighter than the standard build, and that's kind of what I wanted to go for. It is still very fast in a straight line. As you can see here, we've got it set to fuel mix 6, but it quite easily just starts going as soon as you get on the big straight. Yeah, the AI cannot absolutely stay with you. They have no chance in hope in hell. So yeah, you can see we're just absolutely flying past them. Now, as you can also notice with this car, although it's hitting very good speeds, the brakes are actually much better than standard. That was a big downside to the kind of stock version of this car, as the brakes just weren't good enough to get it to slow down. It's heavy, it's also very fast, so I've tried to kind of get rid of the bad points of this car and just allow it to be also still quite good on fuel, as well as keeping it under that 700 limit. So it should be much more usable than the standard Bugatti Chiron. I just found that was an absolute, bit of a dog of a car. But obviously with these upgrades, I've tried to focus on sort of eliminating the big downsides of this car. I do recommend short shifting if needs be. It just gets that little bit of a better fuel consumption. As you can see, you can stay in quite high gears through the corners. A lot of gears in this car, by the way. In terms of difficulty, I recommend just putting it on easy. Look, you don't kind of want to put it on hard. You don't get paid more for it. Again, if you mess up, there's more of a chance that you're just going to lose out in the end. So I do recommend just putting it on easy and just going for a cruise. Put some music on in the background or something. So as you can see, at the end of lap 2, we are going to take our first pit stop. We haven't currently got any rain, and there was none inbound at this point. As you can see, I overshot going into the pits. Yeah, we're going to basically get this to bite us back. The rain will eventually come down, so you are going to have to pit every 2 laps for this one. Like I said, originally I was trying to, I was literally just getting over a single lap of fuel, even at fuel mix 6. It was absolutely ridiculous. I honestly thought there'd be no way I could get this car to be able to grind pretty much any event. I thought it was just going to be one very expensive fast car, but eventually with a few kind of additions and kind of focusing on them weak points, we did get it down. So we're going to take our first pit stop. At this point, it's completely up to you. You can change your tyres. It all depends on your weather and such. I'm not going to. I believe I'm going to keep the same compound on. I'm just going to fill the car to full because it is thirsty. Again, a bit of a rolling tank, but not as tanky as it was. But as you can see, by the time we actually get out of the pits, the rain's actually started literally out of nowhere. At 1 minute, it just wasn't there. The next thing I know, it's pretty much there, and it's there to stay for quite a while. Yeah, as you can see, it's not gone too well. Eventually, it got to the point where, although I kind of, got through most of the lap pretty much unscathed, the just track surface became far too unbearable. So I basically just kind of shot myself in the foot here. As you can see, we're just sliding everywhere. It is pretty much full wet territory. But by the time we do get to the pits, the rain is pretty much gone and out of the way. So I'm going to go for the intermediates because the track should dry up pretty quickly. It usually does. At Le Mans, it doesn't kind of stay wet for too long once the rain's gone. But you can get more rain come back, which can be a pain, but I usually find this second lot of rain is never there for very long, and it probably isn't going to be as heavy as kind of the first big sort of weather formation you get. So there you go, we put the inters on, we've filled up again, and we're basically kind of good to go for a couple of laps at this point. As you can see, the rain just about to end there. A little bit of rain did come back, like I've just mentioned. It's not going to wet the track up too much. I do apologise for that quick pause there, but yeah, overall it's not going to be too bad in terms of sort of hanging around and that. It's just going to clear, and then it's going to be a pretty dry race from then on. As you can see, at the end of lap 5 now, I'm going to pit in, and I'm thinking, well, what do I go on? Do I go on the dries? Do I go on the inters? And I'm trying to work it out, and I'm thinking, do you know what, it's still quite wet out there. I don't want to take too many risks. This car just does not seem very kind of good in terms of running dries on a wet surface, even if it's minimally wet. So I've just gone for the inters just to keep it nice and safe, and then we're eventually going to be able to do a stop and wait. As you can see, the rain absolutely catching the AI out as well. They're 2 minutes and 37 seconds behind by the time we got in the pits. So we're basically just going to finish up this lap here. We did kind of turn the engine up for a slight amount, but then I realised it's probably going to drink too much, so I turned it back down, and as you can see, we've only got a minute of the event left. We've got a 2-minute 30 gap, so we can essentially just do a stop and wait, which is a bonus for us. If the rain does catch the AI out, you're pretty much guaranteed to be able to stop and wait. It works in your favour massively. So we're just going to let the timer count down. We've stopped at the final position here, and this will give us the shortest amount of time in terms of that 30-minute window. So as you can see, it's counted down, and we're just going to go straight over the line when it ticks down. Final lap, still a massive gap to the rest of the AI, and there we go. First place, nice and easy. Did get caught out by a bit of a silly strategy call by me, but sometimes these things happen at Le Mans. So as you can see, we did it in 30 minutes, 1 second, 0.118, very close to that 30-minute window. Pretty much as good as we could have hoped for. In terms of fastest lap, you won't actually see it because obviously a 2-lap, it doesn't count it. You're constantly on sort of pit stop laps, but we did have a lot more pace than the rest of the AI. They just did not stand a chance. Then when they got caught out by the rain as well halfway through the lap, guaranteed win, super easy, and again as close as possible to that 30 minutes. 825k in that 30 minutes. Personally, the easiest money method in the game. Sardinia as well, also easy, but just pays that little bit less. So there we have it. The Bugatti Chiron is able to be grinded with or made money with. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, within GT7. It's a car that at first I've been kind of struggling to get a decent build out for. However, when I've kind of gone back and done this build and sort of focused on them key areas where its weakness is, I feel like it's become a very usable car. I wouldn't say it's on the level of the Bugatti Veyron, maybe. I used to absolutely love running the Veyron in its 700 pp form. However, maybe over time I'll kind of adjust to it like I did the Veyron. So there we have it. That is another money method done for the 1.27 cars. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn those notifications on so you don't miss an upload from me. I upload GT7 content each and every day. Links are down in the description, including Twitter, Discord, and my donation link. Yeah, have a great day. Take care, guys. Peace.